Thanks for staying with us. So, this morning, our hot topic is talking about how we can discuss the issues, the pageantry we put around funerals. And we're going to be comparing and contrasting the burial of the Duke of Edinburgh and the burials of other dignitaries we've seen in our country. So, over the weekend, as many of you know, Queen Elizabeth and close members of the royal family bid a final farewell to Prince Phillip at the funeral, restricted by coronavirus rules. The ceremony was watched by millions around the world, with the public urged to stay away because of the pandemic. So we were told that there were about 30 people that were allowed. Even the Queen sat alone on the bleachers in the church. Quite a number of other people couldn't show up. Even the Prime Minister didn't show up at this event because of the strict adherence to the COVID rules. And we're looking at, we're juxtaposing that with burials we've seen in Nigeria. I don't want to go outside of Nigeria, where we had the death of Abba Kyari. We had the death of Buruji Kashamu, the late Buruji Kashamu, and others, where these are dignitaries. But because of the caliber of who had passed on, we felt it was important to just bring the whole village and all the well-wishers, because for them it was unfathomable where you bury somebody like that and I won't be there. How can you bury that kind of a big person and I will not show up? I have to be there now. So let us discuss amongst ourselves and understand, why do we do things this way? Is it just our culture? Should we respect that that's who we are as a people? Or should we say, no, let's borrow a leaf from these people, from these colonizers? Are there good things around this? Or should we just
be ourselves?
Be ourselves.
So I think culture is a way of life of a people. And we've realized that Africans, let me use Nigerians now because we're focusing on ourselves, are naturally flamboyant. We are not really modest with the way we do our things, even if it's a child naming ceremony of the 8 days, even if it's our wedding ceremonies, whatever it is that we do, we shroud it in a lot of flamboyance because that's who we are, that's how we are. And some Africans, so I've been to a few other African countries, and they look at us like Nigerians and say, you people are pretty loud. You are loud. That's just who you are. You are loud. So it's an African thing. Unfortunately, we have moved it into governance. So we carry our behaviors, our character into governance, into any position that we find ourselves. And the way the society is, which is, if you're someone who's well-to-do, if you're someone who is, you have a big position, you have, probably you have been elected to be in a big position, in a leadership position, and you have a lot of people who know you, it will be unfair or unheard of that something happens to you and everybody does not show up. So it's how we do our thing. And I would like us to, take a leaf from what the Western world is doing. And that has to go deep into changing our orientation and trying to be modest. But I really do not know how we can survive being modest because it's really not who we are.
Interesting.
Yeah. So for me, this way of life is not foreign to me. I think from where I come from, people like that, from where I come from, people are quite modest in everything, in weddings, in funerals, but with the increased influence of the Southwest and how, Yoruba people carry themselves with lots of flair, and as BC has used the word flamboyant. So it's just, people are picking up on that, but traditionally, most people up north are not as flamboyant as most in the Southwest. But also when we refer to the Western world, for them too, it's a culture that has evolved over time. If you were to go down through history, you would hear about their very crude ways as well. And the reason I bring this up is that many times we sit on the, when we argue on the part, oh, this is our culture and this is our way of life. But the truth is that culture will evolve, people will improve, civilization will be introduced. There used to be a time, many places in Nigeria, people still wore leaves, But after a while, we wear clothes, we wear shoes. Now, in fact, if you don't wear clothes, they will insult you. So this is something I find I admire a lot. I love modesty in the way you carry yourself, in the way you speak. So for me personally, I would advise that we look towards that. Secondly, concerning COVID regulations, it's important to do it this way because it's about our health, about protecting our health and our people. And it has been quite disgraceful and embarrassing, honestly, to see some of the way we've carried ourselves when we have done the funeral services or anything, you know, since during this COVID period. We just throw everything out because you're a political leader, you are a big man or a big woman, and it's not right. So now you can say that there's an example of how to do it if you were unaware of how to do it before.
So the issue of leading by example comes to bear because our leaders tell us, oh, have the capacity of this. I mean, now things have been relaxed because obviously the numbers, according to the governor, the rates, I think, has come to about 1 or 2% of those who are positive of COVID-19. So we understand things are being relaxed. But I'm talking about when we're in the heat of phase 2 or phase 1 of this COVID-19, where people have died, and our leaders don't lead by example. They didn't show us how it should be done. Yeah. So you come and arrest the commoners, but yet when you have your own events, you have the space to bring in as many people, and there's no strict adherence to these laws. Nima, what are your initial thoughts on this funeral, and what do you think we can learn, if we can learn anything at all?
Particularly, I have practiced this method. So I remember when my father passed and I was saying, you don't have to come visit. You can just make a call and it'll be fine. It was just to reduce the crowd because I'm from a very large family, noisy, loud, and I never really enjoyed it. I think that growing up, it was supposed to be the way I saw my parents project it, about support. But it now became sort of an abuse at some point of, you know, of the space and everything. I think Africans, we must go back to how we really, really started. It was communal. You were there in time of need as well as in time of you know, giving. You are not supposed to be there only when it suits you. So I remember growing up, and then all of a sudden I'm getting married, and the house must be full because she's a graduate. Oh, she studied law, and that's why we are related. There's supposed to be a reason why I must know you as my aunt. I must, you know, you must be there. I have an aunt that was there all my life, and I always never forget it. And that's how family is supposed to be. But somebody will just show up and say, do you know me? I'm the eldest. I'm the first male. I'm the first female. I have these cultures across the south side. And, you know, there is the first the female. What do you call your own? Ada? We have all those things. You have the and all of that. All these people, where were they? You know, when a child is falling, that's when they're supposed to be there, when the head of the child is bending. And they're doing the right thing, and they're supposed to be people who are extremely objective in their thoughts and are able to put balanced judgments in front at all times. And so that you value that relationship, and when they want to come and attend somebody's burial at all costs, demanding that right, you'll be forced to respect it, not when they're coming, and it's a lot of burden. At weddings, it is when you hear Sako people say, oh, your term. It's not as you people do in Yoruba. When you are about to chop that base of your party, they'll tell you, if you not rich, why you invite people? You know? Whereas, usually, the Yoruba people, when you have a family meeting, this one is bringing cow, leg, this, that. But when it's your own, you hear, oh, your term, but that means you rich. And you gather us. So you break your account.
So we've talked about the party, having a party, but there's a crucial part of this conversation which we've not touched on. The Prime Minister himself didn't show up.
Yes.
Such an important person. So we'll talk about that because of we're talking about the stature of the person in question. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
So thanks for staying with us. You can join the conversation on 081-270-53687, also on 091-390-76948. You can tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. So we've talked about family obligations, people coming together, how we can find a way to caution ourselves. But in a situation whereby state dignitaries feel they must attend because he was my political godfather. He was the one that was there when I had nothing. You know, so my question is culture playing in this? Should we understand that this is who we are? And we shouldn't try to borrow a leaf or learn from them, because who does Prince Phillip? How many family members does he really have? Who are the community people that put him there? So I mean, of course, he's a real prince. I know both his father and mother are from the royal family. But the point is, many people had reasons to be there, but chose not to be in the interest of the COVID-19 principles that was laid down. But we don't adhere to that in this part of the world.
Well, because for us, a lot of the times, the way we show love is to be dramatic about it. The way to show respect is to, yes, yes. It's my birthday. I do not put my picture on your social media. Even though I had called you in the morning to tell you happy birthday and pray for you, but you did not put me in front of the world can see. Or someone calls you, my birthday is coming up. Oh, you must shout it out on your view so that people will know I have people. And then you put it on your social media. Because for that person, it is how you show love. And I feel that we need to look at things differently going forward. You know, concerning COVID-19, it's important that we look at it differently because that's our health we're talking about. It's lives we're speaking about. But even going forward, that we should learn to appreciate honest and, you know, sincere relationships. It's not about who speaks the loudest about you, who makes the loudest noise, but about the actions that the person carries out. Also, secondly, with funerals, especially in Nigeria, we talk about how many people are shown more love, more people gather over them when they are being buried than during their lifetime. We have people who say, oh, this man, we didn't even know he had many people like this. So he had children like this that live abroad. And here they are now, you know, the casket is more expensive than the house he ever lived in. You know, monies are spent on the outfit that they have to wear because for our culture, it's mostly about showing the other side. You see how better off we are than you are.
We can't discountenance that. So that's an important part of it too.
No, it's not an important part of it. It's the least important part of it.
But there's a part of Onjenwomo that is like you're showing that I have raised my children well, and when you come now.
Good. The way to show that you have raised your children well is when you are alive. The children come and visit you. They pay for whatever needs that you have. You're not living under a leaking roof, and you have children living abroad in different kinds of places doing amazing things. But because you are not dead yet, people don't show up for you. That is how to show. And we should actually teach that specifically for our children that are growing up. Show them what is more important is while the person is alive, be functional in your love, be there, be available.
I'll come to you, Nima. Mike, are you there from Paris? Mike? Mike? Okay, we're having a bit of fun. Yes, Nima.
This is about political affiliates. He's my godfather, my whatever, he's my mentor, my everything. So you want to let the world know you're associated with family. When Governor Ajimobi died, there was this small wahala around him at the time. Is he Ajimobi? Okay, yeah, I say Ajimobi. And there was a lot of drama around the burial. Even the interment, everything was almost taken away from family. I believe that burials, family own burials, and I mean the direct descendants of the disease. Every other person doesn't matter, and whatever they think really doesn't matter. That's the way I see it. I think that what the royal family have exemplified here is say, whether you're linked or not, mind your business. Let us mourn peacefully. Let us mourn, you know, honor our own the way we want. Because this is the person who the disease probably wanted around him at the time he was giving up. He did not want a crowd of people around him. And at the time of burial, when we now do an abakari kind of thing, the family themselves will just continue to grieve that they never really took part. There's an Islamic part of burial that, you know, still I feel hot about it. Because when my father was laid to rest, I was outside because as a woman, it was only my brother who could do that. I wanted to escort up to that. And so, you know, you can only understand how family members would have loved to be there. Some people will cry, yes, they would mourn, but let them have their day. Don't crowd it and cloud people with all your
Shala, are you there? Thanks for calling. Yes, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I just wanted to contribute because this topic is very, very interesting because my mom passed for me in December in the heat of COVID. So my eldest sister decided that, you know, we're just going to have a very quiet funeral. It was actually just a great time funeral, nothing fancy. We were happy, told us whoever can come should come, wasn't so much to take care of mommy, to live a very good life. And so I was surprised, you know, some people kept saying, did our mommy offend us? Did our mom offend them that they had a quiet funeral for her? Did we go out, you know, jamboree and do all the unnecessary activities? So I think it's a cultural thing that needs to be reviewed.
Thank you very much, Shola, because I want us to talk about the culture part, because the truth is that without COVID, they would have had a fanfare.
No,
somewhat. They would have had somewhat, maybe not a fanfare like ours, but they would have had people. But the issue is respecting the COVID.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I know that we naturally aren't the sort of people that obey rules. We always feel some people are more special than others. The leaders feel they are more special than the people. So they make the rules and they do not obey the rules. So if it's a regular person who flouts the COVID-19 rules, you see that they will lock up the place, they will scatter the thing and all of that. But if it's a government official or someone who's important in the society who has clout, you see that they find a way to excuse it. And sometimes they don't even make any apology or any explanation on what why they have done what they've done. So because of that, we need to work on, making the rule above us. So the rule of law needs to be upheld. And like Mariam said initially, that culture evolves. And it's very important that we begin to take out those things that do not serve us culturally. So if you see that as we are growing and as we are evolving, that not paying attention to rules, not obeying rules, not being punctual, we have a problem of African time. We have, we have created our own clock as Africans that say, this is African time. So you have an event, you invite someone for 10, the person shows up at 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. and says it's African time because the person is not expecting you to be ready. You that you are making that invite, you are not expecting the person to be there. So we need, those are some of the things that we need because whatever we are, however we behave is what we take to the leadership positions.
I love
so
what you
as
said.
children, as a parent, we need to start inculcating. I have a PA recently, so we were supposed to be somewhere for a meeting, and I gave her 12. And she didn't show up for 12, and I left her and went there. And when she called me, I'm home, or where are we? I said, I have gone. I don't want to see you till tomorrow. And when she came back, she was explaining. I said, we need to start, paying attention to they seem little, but it's what is going to stand us out.
Let me take this call from Ogunle. He's been holding for a while. Ogunle, are you there? Hello, Ogunle, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
It's been 6 years I've been trying to get to you.
So your first time
This is my first time
Welcome to
in
the
6
show.
years.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. You're talking about culture. When you look, I'm very sorry what I'm about to say. Maybe it may bring some kind of effect. Talking about culture, when you look at the two ladies sitting between you and Nima, you can see that everything about us is no longer about Africa. It's about all in the name of Western world system of doing things.
Okay.
Our culture has been thrown away for years. We've been trying to copy the white people, and we are not even doing things the way they have been doing. I don't know, maybe because Nima is dressed because of religion or something. I'm very sorry, the two of you now, if you look at your eyebrow now, they are quite different from what we have. So if you want to talk about culture, we really need to go to our forefathers and foreparents, how they've been dressed. And in Europe, the lady that just called from United Kingdom, I think, Morayo, you know well about Europe, and you know how we do things here.
Hello? We wanted to finish Mrs. Agule. I'm so sorry about that. I really, really wanted to hear you.
Yes, because I don't understand
Well, I would
the
have
point
loved
he
to
was
take him.
making. So the point is he making that the Western culture of following the COVID-19 guidelines and having only 30 people there and the Prime Minister respecting the guidelines and not showing up is somewhat reflected in our eyebrows. So in the way that we do our makeup and the way that we dress.
We have to run, unfortunately. We have to wrap up on this. But
I was going to
before
finish
we go,
it.
please. Okay.
Let me just finish it.
Go ahead.
So in making a case for the way that the funeral was done, I just wish he finished because I was hoping he was going to say, well, I would have preferred the flamboyance, the dancing, the whatever. And so in that way, Miriam and BC's dressing and whatever would be much more traditional in that form. It just seems to be contradicting.
All right. Yeah, may I quickly say that, when a lot of people watched it, they came up with the fact that they noticed that it was very organized. It was so structured. There was no form of confusion. There was no form of struggling of positions, who stays here and who stays where. There's something I realized that these sort of people do, like the royals, they do what they call dress rehearsals. So before that day, they would have practiced how everybody, you just walk in, where you're going to sit, the position you're going to take, so that on the day of the event, everything is done with specificity. So I think we still need to adjust ourselves in such a way that we work with excellence. So aside from the fact that we love plenty people in our culture, because we need to keep the rules, because we need to obey COVID-19 principles, we can cut down on that. When COVID finally disappears, everybody can go ahead. Now, I also wanted to mention that Nigerians, Africans, Nigerians, we're not very time conscious. So you have an event like that and you spend the whole day not considering that other people need to go make a living or do something. We need to, our time is money. So if we can monetize our time, you see that you won't want to be there for more than 45, 50 minutes. And it's done.
I didn't want to say this, but I had my brother's wedding in the U.S. His wife attends a Presbyterian church, and they had a dress rehearsal.
They always
many
do.
years ago.
Yeah.
And with myself and my mom were like, it wasn't a dress rehearsal.
That's
but
it.
that church. But
You're
right. It's
but
just
there are things that we
plan.
also do here to try to curb it, but we just don't listen.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
But this is something earlier that I thought was interesting.
Okay.
When you plan an event, you that you are planning, you don't expect them to come early. You that you are going there, you don't expect them to start early.
Yeah.
You that expect them to be late. So we're all just a bunch of mad people. I didn't say that. I didn't say that too. Let's go on the break so we can come back.
There's something called fashionably
We'll be
late.
back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're supposed to move into our next topic, but I'm told that our guest is yet to be here. And because of that, we'll allow for some time to take a few tweets on the previous topic. So, Miriam, do you have a few tweets for us, please?
Yes, I do. Andrew in Streatham says, yet the nation where the funeral was totally observed per square meter has very few churches and mosques. But in Nigeria, where per square mile there are 1,000 churches and mosques, everything is disorganized and people play African time. He says, true, one of the most depressing phenomena prevalent in this part of the world is letting someone die in penury and spending a fortune on their funeral. Andrew in Streatham also says, see how big people observe COVID-19 in Britain? See how the Queen insisted on observing strict COVID-19 protocols.
Okay, let me reply to this one. Hayode Jimoloto says, it started from our ancestors' cultural diversity. Will always have effect in our different lives, and it's telling on our government too. Oppression is still our lifestyle. I totally do not agree, even with the last caller, that this was an African culture thing. Because we're talking about royals here. If we talk about royals and how royals are buried in certain climes, till tomorrow, we hear say King died for Benin. We not hear, nobody has ever seen how the burial is done.
You know if you come out, go.
They will tell you, for this period, 21 days or so, all markets shut. It's only the inner corpus that bury. So we should apply it to families. If the person has wife, children, and direct, let them be involved in the burial, which is what the Queen did. Till the grandchild, and someone tweeted that the Prime Minister had to leave his own invitation for a close family member who also wanted to attend, and so that's why he didn't show up. And we should also understand, how important it is for families to benefit from, their last respect. You can also pay your respect, even if you're not, if you're as a friend of the family.
From afar.
From afar. By, reaching out to family, asking what they need. There's a culture of Islam that people don't know. Because I hear that 40-day Fida prayer, 30-day Fida prayer. We attending the burials for the prayers are the ones bringing assistance to families. That's the culture of the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. But I did not hear it when I was growing up, because without prayer, the family would go and borrow. They were supposed to make their gele on point. It was supposed to be you bringing whatever is needed to support. Because there's an institute I'm using, for this place. It's called For Those Left Behind. That's for those who are mourning. And in the classes, in the Islamic classes, and I heard this person, well, the way my father used to talk about it wasn't this loud. They should loud it very well, so people will understand it.
Let me take this call from Prince Ade. Are you there? Hello?
Hello?
Prince Ade, you're live.
Hello,
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, how are you guys?
Very well.
This is my first time of trying, and this
Welcome to the show.
get it through, and I'm so lucky.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Yeah, the lesson is that with the Nigerian diaspora, especially African diaspora, the Nigeria most especially, they didn't learn from Queen. She's been with her husband since all these days.
Oh.
She's been her husband so many years. They are not learning from her. That's a big lesson to me. And at the initial stage of their work is not that smooth, but the Queen can manage everything. For Nigerian diaspora, they will be sending their husband away, not copy the Queen, because the system benefits them. That anybody that system pays benefit to them, what they are gaining, they don't think about the family, the royal family that they supposed to take as a role model. That they have been together for so many years.
That's a different topic. Thank you very much
just
for
saying
that.
that role models in a lot of
role
ways.
models. But you see, also, if we want to go into that story,
children are...
because the truth is, it was more like the prince. The prince was the one that actually stayed with the queen.
Yes.
Now, how many African men can be a husband to a queen? Has the spotlight, takes the decisions, has to make
Has
some
to lead
tough,
their family.
has to lead, and sometimes the husband had to bow to the queen.
Good, Maria, put it in Nigerian context. The queen is the head of that
Of
family.
the family.
Of the
So
whole
he
kingdom.
was like
So
the...
you are saying,
Of the whole kingdom.
He was
you are
like the
saying we
wise
should
man.
learn. Let us look. So
Since we are learning.
Prince Ade, let us talk about learning now.
Yeah.
So let's move from
How
very-
many men are ready
How many of you Nigerian or African men can allow a woman? Because I saw
the
one
head.
of the series, The Crown, where the Prince of Edinburgh had to actually bow to the Queen because
he
that was
was
the
a-
position.
he's a
He wasn't
subject
bowing to
too.
his wife at the time. How many of you can do that?
And still get
I think you're
over.
learning it. So you're now stupid that we should learn that she stayed with her husband for over 70 years. No, he
But
stayed with her.
you know, he made a lot of
They
sacrifices.
stay
I read
together.
about how the staff of the Queen would, discriminate about him, that maybe you be our Oga, we know
Yes,
our
now,
Oga
of
within the
course.
royal family. And it's only a few men who will take it.
Yes.
Some people will take it out on their wives and say, it's you that brought me this rubbish. It is because of you. And African men,
We will take
we
him
can
and
want
judge him.
99% African men will not take it.
He lost his career.
Yes.
He also lost his name because
Yes,
the
he had
time
to
he was
sign-
supposed to go to his own house. He lost his name because now the children were not given his name anymore.
Yeah.
So
He forfeited his
he forfeited
citizenship.
his citizenship.
His identity.
So he had to make quite a bit of sacrifice. How many African men
He
can
can't
do so?
put
Let
ya.
us start beginning to learn lessons now. Let's we want to learn. Oh, yeah, let us start learning.
I can remember my cousins. My mom is from Royal in my village, and my cousin was marrying a Yoruba girl. They said we should dobale. My cousin went to the girl, whispered, "I'm Royal." Benin people who don't, princes don't dobale. The one of my aunties just stand up. I cannot take it. Oh my dobale. The next thing, once everybody did a U-turn, enter their car. So you marry your daughter. They start begging us to come back. African men
Let me take this
cannot
call.
do this.
Good morning, are you there?
Come in, bow, bow.
Hello? Good morning, I have a call from Ngomo. Are you there? Thanks for calling. Sorry about that. Okay, so BC, you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, I just
To these
think
lessons we're learning.
we're not, our Nigerian men are not ready for that sort of lesson where they have to bow to their wives. Though I have seen some men who don't mind. If they love you, they can go all the way, but they're still,
And the
they're
sister
still
did not
waking up
remind
to,
him.
yeah, there's no, aside
Like-
from that, they have seen men who will
Woman
stand
rapper.
and say, this is what I want and this I'm going to do it, and there's nothing any family member can do about it. But we have not woken up to that level, and they should not rush us by telling us learn this and learn that and learn that. What we are talking about today is how we can apply this in governance and leadership and let it in public places and let it cut across, so that even as we are raising our children, we can begin to take those cultures that serve us, that save us time, that save us money, that save us resources, those cultures that will help us grow even faster in our total development. That's what we're talking of.
So
don't tell us
emphasize
about
cultures that serve.
that serve us.
Cultures that part of cultures that serve, that
serve.
is good for the entire humanity
Traditions
at the
that
end
serve.
of the day.
Yeah.
Traditions
Good for
that
the
is
greater
good
good.
for the greater good.
Yeah.
There are certain traditions that by now we should have forgotten about them, and we know.
we still
When we sit
practice.
in our
So we have
Okay, let me come to Twitter. I have a call from the UK. Good morning, are you there?
Hello, yeah.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Good morning,
Morning.
Marion, and the rest of the girls, or ladies, rather. Yes, I think the central thing we seem not to understand and discuss on the program is that the Prime Minister would have been invited, but he wasn't invited. It was all down to the COVID rules and protocols that we observe in this country. It's about law, respecting the law.
Yeah.
The fact that we have COVID The royal family then decided, how can we manage this situation? It should be right down to the family, regardless of who you are and what you are in the society. That is the situation here. In Nigeria, there is no law. No one respects, even if there is a law. I think we should learn from what is happening here, that it's about law. It's not just about the celebration of the situation. It's about respecting the law.
Thank you very much. I think that's what we want to extract from this whole thing.
And you know, recently we've been having conversations on how sometimes who the leader is. The leader started as just a regular person like you and I. So the way that we behave with each other at the grassroots level is what we'll take, you know, when we become leaders. So we do not even respect each other one-on-one. What do you expect when you become a leader? You just take that behavior out there. We have a few tweets, and I think that we'll enjoy here. So, oh, sorry, I missed this.
Sorry, before you get it, there's a part of the psychophants and the wailers. Family have already prioritized family. There was a politician, let me just cover because it's a Lagos-based story, that died. And the family and the children knew what exactly they wanted. But the wailers, they stayed outside, abused COVID, joined their heads together, spread the COVID very well, just crying for camera to carry them. Who sent you?
They paid some of them.
They were not part of the burial plans. Nobody allowed them into they made sure that they exposed themselves. So we ourselves, we should even try to love ourselves.
I'm telling you that permits
a few truths. No, apart from our culture. No, these people did
some
culture.
People are paid to wail.
I was going to say prioritizing. I know the cultures.
There are some people who are paid
prioritizing family. Well, some people who have prioritized family, they've drawn the list. They know who their father's associates are. They know who their person's friends and family are. And they have said, okay, this is how much hall we take. But some people will say, okay, just leave us outside.
Yeah.
You know, and they will bring their food and drink for them.
Okay, so the tweets, this DRL says, it's very sad that we put ourselves under pressure to bury the dead in Nigeria. The wastage is not necessary. This is not about people who attend the burial now, but the money being pumped into the event. We need to scrap some of these things. I've discovered, Habib Okweyemi says, I've discovered that one of the clogs in our wheel of progress in this part of the world is our culture. Culture drives behavior, behavior drives habits, and habits create the future.
Rolake says we are wasteful in our cultural events and not flamboyant. We spend more than what we have impressing others. That is why we keep unused souvenirs for years and still acquire more at events. We attend all events because we are sycophants.
Yes. Let me take this call from Abuja. Kehinde, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Mariah, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Nima, happy Ramadan.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. In fact, I want to talk about the issue concerning the Queen and the King.
Go ahead. We can hear you very clearly.
Okay. You know, there's a difference between being in Nigeria and being in the UK. Because I listened to you and I saw that the way you are trying to compare the UK and the Nigeria. We all know the man is the head of the family here in Africa. So if we start to compare that, no, we should not compare the king, this is that. To me, I will not lie to you, we are trying to teach our children another thing. You understand? So we should at least, let's nail it where it is. Because I will not lie to you, I always watch your program before I go to my office because I love it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Let me use an example, and I don't have permission to say this, so I won't mention the person's name but I know the story. He's a professor. He died not too long ago. Before he died, he set up a committee. Who's going to handle his burial? He put together. He gave everybody a role. So Nima, you're the treasurer. Your job is to do the planning. You're supposed to do the clothes. He allocated the roles per person. Told them the casket to use. I said, go and ask XYZ wife, I like the casket he used for her husband. Please, that's the same one I want you to use. Wow. Affordable. He told them where to bury him. He told them how much the budget should be, who should be there, and who doesn't need to be there. They had a very concise burial, very dignified. He's a professor, somebody that's well respected. And I was so proud to even know one of the people that were there because eventually it was very, very intimate. And it was a burial that made sense.
You got the word,
the point is, burials are great, But let us begin to redefine what they're supposed to mean going forward. It's not a jamboree.
Let me take this tweet so that we'll get this topic out. Why people gather at more, that's Miss Chi. She's saying that why people gather more at funeral is to pay last respect. If one is still alive, you can, if you don't visit today, you can visit 2, 4, 5 years time. But at death, it's final, and that's a given. I must not associate with your development to be there. So he's trying to talk to me about the people who must also show up and always, be like that. So who are the people who respected the dead while he was alive? I have a personal sentiment. I have a personal experience that I'd hate to, talk about. So I'm just sitting and waiting. Let me just see you on that day. I'm waiting for this particular person, and God saved them, they didn't show up. I would have made sure the door was banned in their faces because it was important that when that person is alive, for the level of good he did to you when he was alive, that you honored him. So it's good that they just continue the disrespect. Because some disrespect should just continue after death. Just kukuma continue your life. Let everybody
Let me take this call from Florida. Calvin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you
You're
doing?
live. Go ahead, please.
Today? Yeah, about what you guys are talking, you ladies are talking about. Like, I have a friend in Florida. He called me one on the sudden and said, "Oh, my dad just died." And I said, "Oh, I never knew you had a dad." He said, "Yes, man, we have to kill 8 cows and everything." I'm like, "Oh, wow." So he went to Nigeria. Fast forward, he came back. And like, that was the wedding. Oh, we spent almost $40,000. I like, for a freaking for a burial. I said, "For a burial?" He said, "Yes." Now he's totally broke. He started asking people for money. I said, "Then why did you spend all this money to go to Nigeria to bury your father? And now you're back here begging people for money." It doesn't make sense. He said, "Don't you know my dad is 80 years old? He's well known in the village. The village people know him." I said, "I don't care. No disrespect to your father. Let him rest. May his soul rest in peace."
Amen.
So you don't need to spend almost $50,000 just to bury your father for people to eat and everything. It doesn't make sense. And now you're begging people you want to pay your rent.
Can you imagine?
So it doesn't make sense for real.
It doesn't. Let me take Professor Enakena's tweet. He says, "Burial back home is part of our Neanderthal behavior, and we've refused to expunge from our society. When I saw my mom's burial in 2018, my mom's burial video in 2018, because I couldn't travel for health reasons, I was astounded at the crowd and resources expended by my siblings." And this person in Nakena is probably from my place. So there's a way they do the burial. Some people will even cook. They will put a pot of soup today. Now, they cook egusi. They will be pounding here. And the guests are sitting. But the soup done, and it's an empty pot. Because people cooking are just piling on. Then the next day, according to my mom at one of the burials they did, the next day, because pounded yam, we don't eat it the next day in my place. So they will just be bringing out the pounded yam that they are even siphoned inside and be pouring it out. So it's such a waste. We ourselves, we need to curb certain of our own behaviors around this burial. Let me punish the children of the dead. Let them spend the money. Some people, there's a culture of where they will call the daughter-in-law, for instance, and say, "Hey, we heard that you had one fight in like 20-something with your mother-in-law, Nida. How did you do? This and that." Somebody that is among the family that is living that hates you will now come say, "The matter was not resolved." Very proud somebody. You will be punished.
This reminds me of
things. So if it's not serving,
people, we need to avoid playing to the gallery. So everybody wants to do it because this family has done it, and I want to show that I am successful. And then you bring all your colleagues all the way from Lagos to the village. You borrow money, from different people. And after the burial, you are left to sort out yourself. Now, the families that do this burial, it's also important that we as people around them support them so that they don't get into debt. And one of the ways you do not get into debt is don't make a plan with the resources you don't have. You look at your pocket, you only have 500,000 and you have a burial to do. Why don't you use 100K and buy the cheap what's it called?
You're not addressing what that caller said. They will say, "How do you hate your parents so much? What did your mother do to you to deserve this kind of burial?" So you want to work within your pocket. But the community and family are saying that you are being wicked.
That's what I started with. So you need to learn to be your own person and not pay attention to what people will say. Because people will always say, even if you use the whole
Africa,
that's
why the other day she buried her mother. And
I don't care.
She paid caskets.
I can only care when I listen to you and let it affect me.
But I just remember this.
I work with what I have and what I can afford. So if we learn in our own little corner to work with what we have, and irrespective of whatever anybody wants to say, it doesn't concern you. Why would I want to care?
So it just reminded me of this conversation we had on the show some years ago where a spokesperson for a state government was saying that the governor had used the security fund to pay for burial.
Burials.
You remember, yes. I can't remember. Yes, that they used that security fund to pay for burial.
Yes.
So there are staff that have worked, they take money, they buy caskets and things like that. And, you know, he was so proud of it and quite confident about it. I was like, who was going to do that?
1 million.
Meanwhile, this is monies that has been set aside
For something else.
for security.
Oh.
Let me pause you for a second, Miriam. I have a call from Semi at Niger State. Are you there?
Yes,
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Actually, this is the first time I'm getting through this.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Sister Morayo, God bless you.
Amen.
And every other person seated there. You see, when you talk about the coming together of people, when you talk about coming together of people in a ceremony, we should first look at the government aspect. You know, these days people are hungry. People, you know, people look at opportunities to come to a program, even without inviting them. I think I had a program at Ibadan just recently, a few months ago, and without even inviting people, people are coming. Where are they coming from? Who invited them? At the end of the day, I will discover it was an hunger. People are hungry. Just give us food. You don't need to invite them. They wear their clothes, look good, as if it's real. They come to your occasion just to pay and go. So we should start looking at this aspect. What can we do to stop this kind of attitude? You know,
Thank you.
I am the senior social assistant to Niger State Governor on entrepreneurship. And even before my principal, you know, appoints me to that position, I'm privileged to empower people in a little way I feel. But there is no more sensitization, my sisters. There's no more motivation, my sisters. So all this is accumulates to all this kind of useless attitude.
Thank you, Samia. Thank you so much, Samia, because I remember when my father died. That first day, we all cried. There was pain, you know, and aunties came, people came, gathered around us. By the next day, they were already telling my mom to give them money to go and start buying rice and this, because people are coming visit cooking. You have to buy water in the house, you have to buy drinks, you have to cook, because the money people will come every day. So we had to now decide the dates of the burial. He died in October. We buried him, I think, in November. Between that October 1st and November that we buried him, every single day we're cooking.
You have to feed people.
Feeding people. You can't, but even if you cook rice, biscuit and drink must live together.
Which is supposed to be the other way around, that when guests come, they come with food.
So we're interrogating this culture.
Yeah.
Should we sustain it? Or should we begin to say, you know what, guys, it's not.
Person who is already mourning has to now run into debt.
Yes.
Because people must show up.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up on this, but I think we extended this conversation because our guest for the other topic, we're going to discuss about the minister, Honorable Minister, who Issa Pantami, he's trending. So that was what our conversation was supposed to be about. Unfortunately, we had a guest. I'm not sure if we can get the guest, but we'll try to get him now so we can move on to that topic. But we have to wrap up on this. Generally, we're still going to bring it up sometime, but the idea is that let us begin to discuss amongst ourselves if we want, if it's a culture we want to change or continue, and we feel that it's not serving us well, let's modify it. Yes, we understand we are cultural people. We like to have family around, but should we begin to understand that, listen, don't put pressure on each other. Oh, so her father had died and all they did was just
like my sister.
It's not.
They will tell you
the way that
once your person passes, they will tell you.
Yes.
I was told 3 days, 4 days. What are we doing? My sisters even at some point they bent over, they started spending, and they will call this. You people should just do it.
All right, that's all we can take on this. Let's go on a break. When we come back, hopefully our guest will be here. Stay with us. We'll be right back.